am a little bit more than a month sober off of weed.
Now, as much as I want to sit there and say that I believe every single thing that you're going through is real because of CHS, I think some of it is absolutely 100% explainable. Now, there's plenty of things that I wanted to be able to touch base on, and I don't know, something about this just 100% got me thinking and trying to be able to understand exactly what's going on, because CHS isn't new. CHS isn't something brand new. It's been out for over 20 years. I mean, it originated in 2004 with symptoms. People ended up coming up to them and ended up stating that I had X, Y, and Z, and when they stopped, things got better. Now, as much as I want to sit there and say, okay, THC is doing this to you, keep in mind, most of these reports in general are only people who are smoking THC or weed, okay? The individuals who are continuing to eat edibles, medicinally and recreationally, they're fine. So if you're an individual that likes THC, that may be an additional option for you if you're actually having some type of symptoms similar to this. Now, my question to you is, are you diagnosed, or are you just going off of what you have been seeing and hearing on these videos? I know that you stated that you went to the doctor, but just going to the doctor maybe once or twice really isn't going to cut it, because there could be something more underlying that you may actually think that's going on. Now, being on THC, as we all know, will end up lowering your blood pressure, bringing down your anxiety, depression, those types of symptoms that you end up having. That's why people take THC. And believe it or not, they live a sense of normalcy while they're on it. So when they actually get off of it, unfortunately, life kind of kicks them back into where they originally were, which is just absolutely horrible. So when you're in a calm state of mind for a significant amount of time and you feel normal while you're on THC, well, once that normalcy gets taken away, everything else seems so much different in life that you just don't want it to go back to that sense of chaos. Now, I'm approved for medicinal THC here in Texas, and I know one thing for a fact is that my anxiety was high, my depression was increasing, I was significantly having panic attacks throughout everything that I was going through, recollecting, bringing out stuff that was going on, and I ended up getting diagnosed with PTSD. When I got on medicinal THC, it felt like I was at a normal pace. Like, I felt normal. I could function, I could talk, I did better at my job, I did better as being a father. And the one thing is that if I ran out and I forgot to pick some up, and I have to wait a couple of days to go pick it up, everything started falling apart, specifically because I know how my body is on those types of situations. The medication helped me specifically. So anything else that kind of came my way while I was off of it felt like not just a small problem, but a huge problem. Now, when you stated like you were convinced that you had panic attacks, right? You also made a comment, and a lot more than that. Like, what are we discussing here? Like, are you talking about a lot more symptoms, or a lot more that was actually causing the panic attacks? Like something psychological? Is that something that you need to be able to work on for yourself? Do you need to speak to a specialist about those types of topics? You know, I was a little bit confused when you ended up making that comment, because if there is some type of underlying psychological issue, then that had nothing to do with the THC. If anything, the THC was helping you in that moment, in that sense of mind. That way it can create that clarity that we just talked about. Now, of course, the puking. The puking is always a concern, right? But when you're on THC, you get really hungry depending on how your body reacts to THC. So you may be one of those munchers. But if you're an individual who likes to watch their weight, and you're eating this stuff, like you're not eating while you're feeling hungry, well, you're gonna feel stomach pain because your body's telling you to eat. And the more that you starve yourself in that moment to eat, well, what's going to happen? It's going to continue to hurt to the point where you're going to get nauseated, you're going to get tired, you're going to get dehydrated, and then you're going to end up trying to vomit everything out. Now, for women specifically, because I don't know if this is an actual thing. Maybe this is a real symptom, okay? Because I'm not a chick, all right? But CHS, you had mentioned that episodes when your period would end up starting to come, it turns out you had mistaken it with abdominal pain, thinking that it's your period, and then it turns out there's nothing. I have a significant other that has been on THC for more than 2 or 3 years, right, since they passed it here, and she's never had any type of issues. Period. No pun intended. She's never had any type of issues. Now, has she had stomach pains? For sure. But sometimes ladies are irregular. I mean, that's what happens. Hey, it's coming. Nope, it didn't end up coming. That's normal. And as you get older, it becomes more and more out of whack, irregular than what you're normally used to. Some people are regular, some people are not. But for a lot of individuals, from my experience of dating women and being around them, is that a lot of them are always saying, you guys are irregular. I mean, I don't. Now, you also mentioned hot showers. Is that helping? Of course hot showers is going to help. Heat helps with inflammation. So if you're having your period, right, the ideal thing would to be, in my opinion, which has helped my significant other as well, is to jump in there with a hot shower. And it would significantly help her abdominal pain. Okay? Put a heating pad on it, it helps, right? The hot shower is going to help your body in general. I mean, you can't tell me that you're going to jump in a shower, a cold shower, just for the fuck of it, right? You either want warm or hot water. That's just you're just comfortable in that type of temperature, right? But if you're going through that type of sense and it helps, it's probably because there's some type of inflammation somewhere. Not only that, sometimes there's an adverse reaction depending on who the individual is, where if you just stop THC in general, they're just not going to be able to function, period. Now, I will say is that, am I saying that you're 100% wrong? Am I saying that CHS is not a real diagnosis? I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying is that there's always room for you to be able to go back and get extensive testing. Because if you just went to your doctor, your primary care, okay, that's just one doctor. That's why you have specialists. And especially if endometriosis actually runs in your fucking family, you need to get a hold of that shit quick. Like, when you say doctor, do you mean like your primary care, or do you mean like a specialist? An individual who specializes in endometriosis and those types of diagnoses and symptoms, right? Get more extensive work before you could just sit there and say, hey, I'm going to take this out of my life. I'm not trying to stop you from being sober. Be sober. If you want to be sober, right? But if it was helping you, I think that's also something to think about. So if you need to do extensive testing to actually sit there and say, I don't have X, Y, Z, I wouldn't just jump the gun right away. That's all I'm saying, especially if it was helping you. It's not an attack on anybody. It's just educational shit. My own personal thoughts. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. See y'all shellhead soon.